Hey folks, in this video I wanted to talk to you about cameras that have inspired me to want to go and shoot more. This isn't about consumerism, this is about what pieces of equipment, when you pick them up, just inspire you to go out, want to shoot more, enjoy your photography, which, without getting into all of the mumbo jumbo, is really what is at the core of our love of photography, I think anyway. Now, this was inspired by a comment I got from Meat Loves Wasabi, who listed out the cameras that have inspired him to shoot more, him or her. And I started making a list, and I would love to hear from you guys what cameras have had that impact, or lenses or whatever, on your shooting and why. So please leave me a comment. Now for me, as I ran through and started making my list last night, I realized it's not necessarily that the cameras are legendary, it's just they were the right camera at the right point on my journey as a photographer learning the craft, that it matched my skills, my budget, and what I was shooting at the time, or it just excited me in the area that I next needed to learn. Just a quick promo, folks. This video is brought to you by my new course, 1 Week in Paris. My photography journey has brought me to a place where I'm now traveling the world, shooting with models, running a couple of different photography schools, and running photo tours around the world. And this is one example. In 1 Week in Paris, you join me on 6 different photo shoots with 6 great Parisian models. You can see full details in my link tree. So going way back, I can't even put a name on the model, but I remember getting hand-me-down cartridge film cameras from my grandmother from when I was 5. And those I was running around clicking and annoying everyone all the time since I can remember and since my family can remember. So whatever they were, thank you to them, they inspired this whole thing. From there, I would say using my dad's Olympus OM1. That was the first SLR that I had used. It was so sleek, it felt so well built. I really felt like I was using a luxury product, that I was so fortunate, like I'd been let into some secret club that Dad was letting me use this amazing piece of equipment. And the Zuko optics, they were unlike anything else. Before that, I should say, I had the nickname Inspector Gadget. I've always been a bit of a gear whore, and when my dad would travel overseas for work, he'd bring me back the new Fuji 3-megapixel point and shoot camera that interpolated actually up from 1.5 to 3 megapixels, or the new Kodak this or whatever. So every couple of years, I would have a new digital camera that I was shooting with throughout the 90s. The OM1, then when I was studying photography in high school, we had a darkroom at my school. Really lucky that a country school had a darkroom. But I remember going up to Sydney and visiting Chinatown, and I had whatever my budget was that I'd saved up, and I found a Yashica Electro something that was the first film camera I'd ever used that had a manual drive, like a motor drive. And it also had very limited autofocus that you normally had to override to actually get it right. But I was the only one in my class who had a camera that made the chip sound, which was kind of cool. And that also, being a little bit of a gear whore, kind of inspired me to get out there. Then I would say, I think it was the E500 Olympus. I could be wrong on the model number, but tiny little APS-C, it would have been micro four thirds DSLR was one of the first I used, and I used that for years. I hated that it would pop up the flash to be a focus assist, and it would blind everyone when I was trying to shoot them in less than perfect shooting conditions. But when I was going through my studies and just after graduating, I was shooting all the time. Every day after work, I would go to the Botanic Gardens or around Sydney or Sydney or Newcastle, where I was living, to go and shoot and learn with this thing. And I was part of different camera clubs, learning as I went, and I absolutely loved that camera. That was my last one before I moved to Nikon, and this is an honorable mention. I won't say it inspired me to get out there that much, but the D5100 was a big leap, and it was a huge purchase for me at the time. And that was a kind of a pivotal one for me, thinking about where I've ended up now. But I would say the one that really inspired me to get out there and that just blew me away was the D300. Now, I was actually traveling in France with my best man at the time, and saw it was released in a French magazine and had him translating the article for me, and I couldn't believe the specification that they were saying that this thing had. And I started saving then and there in the middle of my holiday, stopped spending money on wine and souvenirs and started saving to be able to get that one. And that one, it blew my mind. The responsiveness, the build quality was just unlike anything I had used before. After that, one that arguably is an absolute legend, the D700. Getting that, I think, was my first full-frame digital camera, and it was kind of mind-blowing. For the time, the low-light performance, the autofocus were just incredible. It still has an amazing look to it. Those two other features don't really hold up today, but that absolutely was a camera that it inspired me to go out and shoot. And I was at a point there where I had kind of covered the basics and I was getting more into portraiture, and that was the camera that I really started shooting a lot of my art nude portraiture stuff, which 20 years later has kind of become my career. You can check out the new 1 Week in Paris course below. After that, I would say I've shot with and owned so many of the different Nikon DSLRs and others as well, but I don't think many of them have hit me in the same way as the ones that I mentioned up to now. I would say that the Canon 1DX I owned for quite a while, that and the 85-1.2 really had me in a spin for 6 months going out and shooting portraits with that combo. But I would say there was a big break there. And now looking at other cameras as I started doing YouTube and having access and testing out so many different things, I don't want to list just the cameras that I enjoyed reviewing because, you know, something has amazing autofocus, so you do autofocus tests and that's cool, but does it actually, outside of the review, have me picking it up and wanting to shoot with it? I would say the Leica M11 monochrome did do that. It was incredible. I did feel inspired to go out and shoot with it. Despite having used all of the Q cameras, including the monos, whilst I enjoyed them, they just didn't inspire me. And, you know, I think if I were to buy one, I would actually probably buy the Q, but still the M11 mono was the one that took me out there and made me want to shoot. Since then, I would say only really every one of the different Hasselblad X cameras that I've owned or used has felt that way. They started off with the X1D. It was something, you know, quite new, that kind of it was completely new. The form factor, it was so comfortable. I thought it's just a beautiful piece of equipment that was so ergonomic, and I love shooting with it. Struggled with focus. Then we had the X1D Mark II and then X2D, and then I've had some special editions along the way. Every one of them has made steps forward that has kind of relit the fire of making me want to shoot with those cameras more and more. And still, when I get the opportunity and the right kind of subjects, I love shooting with the X2D 100C. The camera I'm filming on now, the Z9, it does inspire me, but not in the same kind of way. I'm not filming in ProRes now, but when I do film in ProRes, I'm always blown away by how beautiful the files look. So I guess in a way that encourages me to do more video work. And I would say the camera itself, when I'm shooting wildlife and birds, and I'm like out on safari, then it absolutely makes me want to stay in the Jeep longer and longer. On my last trip to Uganda and Tanzania, I had 3 Z9s attached to different long lens bodies, and I was just a beast. I got some of my favorite images, and yeah, that was a great experience. In terms of lenses, surprisingly, as a portrait guy who's normally around 105, 85, that kind of range, the two that really have put the wind in my sails would be, you can guess the first one, the 200 f2 for portraits is amazing for so many different genres. When I got that, it was, I just achieved a big milestone in my business, and I bought it for myself, and it was by far the most expensive, I think, any piece of photography equipment I had bought at the time. And it's just amazing. That's one lens that, unless they really updated it for the Z and it kept the soul but improved the weight, I can't see myself ever selling that one. Incredible lens, and I still, when I go out with it, it makes me happy to suffer the wait to get the results. And then the newer one would be the 400 2.8 TC, which is twice the price again and twice the length, twice the size or twice the volume, but actually about the same weight. And Of course, for wildlife and birds, that's an incredible lens with the built-in TC, letting you get to 560mm at f4. But I also use it for portraits at events, 400mm. It's a little bit snipish to be shooting people across the way, but if you want tight head and shoulders or, half body shot portraits of candid people, shots at a festival, that kind of thing, then it just is great. And the detail you yield and the subject separation, I just love that lens, and the handling is so good. So that would be my list. Roughly the old cartridge cameras, the Olympus OM1, my Yashica Electro, the Olympus E500, the D300, the D700, the M11 Mono, the Hasselblad XCDs, all of them that I've used, maybe the Z9 for ProRes and wildlife stuff, and then the 200 and 400mm telephoto lenses. So let me know what are on your list, and no matter what system you're using, check out, I have expert setup guides for a bunch of different camera brands that may help you along the way, setting them up and getting the most out of them. Hey, this is how I make my living, so I need to throw a plug in here or there. Look forward to reading your comments about what has inspired you on your journey in photography.